Do you feel objectified? Would you prefer a compliment on something you can control, like your shoes or your hairstyle? Story 1. I am 99% certain you must be a woman to ask a question like that. The vast majority of men are thinking, do we get compliments? Story 2. People receive comments so rarely that any feedback is appreciated, and they will still remember it 10 years later. Story 3. It depends on the situation and what she is commenting on. Generally, if it is about my body, I take it as validation that a woman finds me attractive and possibly as interest, depending on the circumstances. Yes, of course it is objectifying me if she is focused on my body and commenting on it, and that is fine. People need to get over the hang-up that physical attraction is always a bad thing. Story 4. I was having lunch with female friends of mine. One of them said I had really pretty eyes, and the other agreed. I was so completely taken by surprise that my brain short-circuited. I turned bright red and dropped my fork. They both laughed. It wasn't in a mean or cruel way. It was just a really funny situation. This was in 1990. I still remember that and smile. Most men rarely get honest compliments unless it's about something we do, like work-related. A compliment on a physical feature almost never happens unless you are a significant standout. Do I feel objectified? No. I'm a decent-looking guy, and I have never gotten so many compliments on a physical feature that it felt like objectification. When I am dating a woman or in a relationship, that can be a whole different matter. I get more compliments even if it is only from one source. Even then, my girl wants to objectify me? Yes, please. Clothes or shoes? That's still kind of impersonal. Anyone can buy the same things. It still feels good to get a compliment, but it's not really about me. Something like, "You're looking sharp today. I like that shirt," can make it more personal. Be careful, though. One compliment can be enough to get his interest. I ended up dating that girl for a while. Story 5. I prefer compliments about something innate about me, like I color. Compliment my shoes? You should not be complimenting me. You should compliment whoever designed them. I just bought them. They have nothing to do with me. Story 6. Depending on her age, it feels like she is interested in me. Do you feel objectified? Most women do not randomly compliment men on their appearance or intimate physical attributes without either having sexual relations or explicitly discussing the possibility of having sex. Therefore, I am not going to feel objectified by something non-sexual and harmless. Probably the closest experience was when I was younger, and girls viewed men over 6 feet tall more like props than individuals. Would you prefer a compliment on something you can control, like your shoes or your hairstyle? I would prefer to receive compliments more often in general. I do not have particular preferences about the subject of the compliments, as long as they are genuine. Story 7. I feel nice. No, everything from me is a part of me. I would actually prefer a compliment about my body rather than something useless like clothes. Story 8. Most men honestly do not know how to take a compliment because it is so rare. However, they would appreciate it regardless of context. Story 9. It feels like you benefited from a random advantage you forgot you had from the beginning of the game. Story 10. I'm black with naturally long curly hair, but I like loose curls. I spend a lot of time and money on my hair to keep it healthy. I get complimented on my hair daily. That always makes me smile every time. I just like compliments in general, to be honest. I don't care what it is. If it's from a woman I find attractive, it gives me a little confidence boost to try and do my little subtle flirt thing. Story 11. Okay, I guess. I have been told I have nice hands. I grew up doing manual labor and do not use lotions or anything. That is the only reason that comes to mind. Story 12. I'm too happy to be complimented to think too deeply about it. I don't have the brain power to process beyond that. I just take the compliment and feel happy about it. When you don't receive any compliments in your life, you take everything you can. If I'm being honest, being objectified finally makes me feel desired for once. Story 13. It feels like a compliment. Why would anyone turn that down? Besides, I have told my girlfriend many times how beautiful her eyes are. Story 14. Honey trap set up by a private investigator or someone. I mean, a woman complimenting a man on something? Come on. Get out of town. Definitely a setup. Story 15. I have worked in a male-dominated field for 20 years. I enjoy giving men compliments because they need to hear positive feedback. Ladies, take note. Story 16. Women receive many compliments, so every insult feels more painful. Men receive very few compliments, so each one affects them more deeply. I accept all compliments. Story 17. I get compliments on my eyes all the time. I appreciate it, thank them, and try to return the compliment. Story 18. Happened a long time ago. A high school girl told me, "I wonder how it is to look through those beautiful blue eyes." I thought it was a foolish statement and left slightly annoyed. Years later, the memory popped into my mind, and I thought, ooh, I was so clueless back then and still am. Story 19. This kind of distinction does not really apply to men so much. Men are not socialized into the looked-at role of the looker/looked-at binary the way women are, so we do not really understand physical compliments through the lens of objectification and the negative effects of being objectified beyond an individual momentary level. Whether people of the other gender think we are nice to look at, and in what way, is not as determinative a force in the lives of men as it is with women. Therefore, we generally have no need to be as attuned to it as women. Every time I have been complimented for something inherent, it has felt better than for some matter of styling because that reflects something about me and not just what I am wearing or how my hair looks that day. Story 20. It feels like a compliment because it is one. So what if I did not work to attain my beautiful face? It is still beautiful, and hearing that still makes me feel good. Feeling offended at a compliment simply because it is about something you got naturally seems unwise to me. Story 21. I was once told my brown eyes look like pools of honey. That felt really good because I thought my brown eyes were generic since many people have this eye color. It made me feel special. Then the next day, the girl who told me that wanted nothing to do with me and decided to hook up with my best friend. Story 22. I love it so much more when it is about my body. I will never know if a certain part of me is nice or not unless someone says so. I do not care if she likes my shirt or not. It is just a shirt. Story 23. In my more than 20 years of life, I have never received a compliment about my physical appearance or features. Even if I did, I would not believe it because I consider myself below average, and my clothes do not fit me well. Story 24. A compliment is a compliment. Although I dislike being told how useful I am, it is still nice to hear it in the moment. If I did not accept those, I would not receive any. Story 25. I get compliments and comments on my eyes, but it happens so rarely that I never know how to respond or how I feel. Mostly, I am just confused. I often end up replying with thanks, or thanks. I grew them all by myself. Way back in 2002, a dentist asked me if my eye color was real because when she had seen something like them before, it was just contacts. Keep in mind, she was right up in my face, and I had my mouth filled with equipment and fingers at that point. Story 26. At this point, I am immediately suspicious. I distrust her even more. It is like if a scorpion complimented me. It is a scorpion, so what is it up to now? Story 27. I obsessed about it for years since the last time someone who was not related to me or romantically involved with me gave me a compliment. But yes, I do have nice eyes. Story 28. I received many comments about eye color after my children were born. My children or another woman around make me feel safe, so it is kind of odd. Story 29. My wife of 6 years complimented the color of my eyes, saying they looked really nice in the sunlight. Compliments are not really her thing. That was maybe 2 months ago, and it still makes me smile when I think about it. Story 30. Bold of you to assume I get compliments from anyone but my boyfriend. I do know what you are talking about and make an effort to stick to things like their jewelry or hair when I compliment women, but we do not usually get enough compliments to make that distinction. As long as it is not creepy Tinder nonsense like, "I bet your cock tastes delicious," which is an actual message I have gotten, I count it as a win. Story 31. If someone compliments me, I wait until they get to the main part of the conversation, which is usually that they want something. Maybe I have trust issues, but my experience is that people only give compliments when they are more likely to want something from me. Story 32. I have slightly lighter than normal brown eyes. In most cases, it's noticeable but not a big deal. However, it really stands out sometimes depending on how a room is lit relative to where I sit. I have received compliments on them, but they are rare. I thank women who say something, but it is not a big deal for me. I would rather talk about anything else other than my looks. That includes both uncontrolled and controllable traits. I am not a fan of compliments because they often feel inauthentic. I would rather someone compliment an action or a personality trait than what I look like. Story 33. Okay, what is the game? Something is up. Should I be behind my wall? Trust takes time. Once, a couple of girls behind me in line touched the back of my long blonde hair. Startled, I said they were sorry. They just had to. I guess it was pretty that day. Story 34. Guess it is a nice gesture if you are not expecting it. I think compliments that acknowledge effort have more intention behind them, so that always makes better sense to me. Story 35. I wish I received compliments often enough that I could feel objectified. The first compliment I have received this year was last week. Last year, I received exactly one compliment in July. Story 36. Older women love my hair. I remember in school one girl used to love to pet my hair. I tried asking her out, but she turned me down. I miss her fingers in my hair. We were about the same age. Story 37. A compliment from a woman is nice either way. If you are not used to being objectified, it is really nice to finally get a little attention. Do not hold back the compliments. We men crave them and starve for them. Story 38. It feels like someone just saw me and felt compelled to say something nice. There are no words to express what that is like. Story 39. I still remember a girl in high school who complimented how cool my eyes looked. That was over a decade ago, and I didn't think it was objectifying. If it is, then objectify me, baby. Most guys are not going to care about being objectified through compliments. Story 40. I have lost track of the number of times a woman has told me I have beautiful eyelashes. Like, thanks? Genetics, I guess. Story 41. Most men do not make a fuss about things like this. I mean, receiving any kind of compliment is rare enough, so we take what we can get. Story 42. Feels great to be seen as anything other than a threat or a tool, to be honest. I would prefer something I actually worked on, but one of my favorite compliments is about my voice, which I cannot control. I do not feel objectified unless they are actually treating me like a tool. Even then, someone calling me useful makes me pretty happy. It depends on the person, but I just appreciate that someone cares and has enough positive feelings toward me to compliment something about me. It rarely matters what it is. Story 43. I don't care. I'll take both honestly. It's still nice to receive compliments, even on things I can't control. I've been complimented on my eyes a couple of times over the years, and it felt good because I always thought they were pretty normal or plain. Story 44. Honestly, I absolutely love it. I know I have good genes. I just got lucky and blessed with them. I have been told I have gentle eyes before, and that is honestly the best compliment I have ever received. I do not think I will ever forget it. Story 45. I have dealt with self-esteem issues for most of my life. The times when I was most likely to receive unexpected compliments were from 11th grade through college and perhaps into my mid-20s. I recall being told I had nice hair. I rarely did much to style it, so that was noteworthy. Beautiful blue eyes, and a couple of times girls commented on my butt. Because it happened so infrequently, I remember those compliments vividly. Now that I am older, with gray and thin hair, eyes surrounded by wrinkles, and a butt hidden in loose pants, I can look back on those few compliments and smile. Story 46. I've been complimented on my eyes and never felt objectified. Usually, when people compliment me, it is on my skills, creativity, and similar qualities. Maybe if I were tall enough to be objectified for my height, I would have a different experience, but I am 5 feet 9 inches. Some toxic individuals consider me short, but decent people consider me average. Apart from height and perhaps size, the main areas where men are objectified are not immutable characteristics. resources, musculature, leadership abilities, and social capital. I have always liked Warren Farrell's framing. Women are seen as sex objects, whereas men are seen as success objects. Story 47. Women like to use the "is it something you can change about yourself" or about your body categories. However, I would split compliments slightly differently. Some compliments are meant to acknowledge the things you have chosen or done. Others are meant to tell you that you are an attractive human being. For the former, examples include, "I like your shoes. You make me feel comfortable. That's a funny t-shirt. And you're funny." The latter examples are more like, "That outfit is cute. You have beautiful eyes. And those earrings look great on you." There is a difference between "that dress looks great on you" and "I like the pattern on that dress." Although both are compliments about the dress. Men don't receive many compliments of the former kind, but we do sometimes. If we weren't so boring, we might get more. I probably received compliments on a particular t-shirt or my hair once or twice a year. Maybe I'd get a "looking snazzy" if I wore a suit to a wedding. Then I started painting my nails. And now every woman I see compliments my nails every time they see me. I don't think I suddenly became more attractive. I think I just gave them something to compliment other than my usual black t-shirts and jeans. But men essentially never get the latter type of compliment. So if we do, we often assume you're hitting on us. Because honestly, even people who are hitting on us tend not to do that. I have hooked up with women who never said anything indicating they found me attractive. And yes, obviously we'd love to hear that. Please do, but also be careful doing it for the reasons mentioned above. Story 48. Her. Your hair is amazing. Looking at it feels like wading through a velvety black ocean. Me, thanks, I guess. Him. Hey brother. I like your haircut. Me, thanks. Story 49. My son has crystal blue eyes and dark lashes. He knows the power he has been given and plays it up. He often asks me, "How does this color do for my eyes?" He avoids light blue because he is very pale, and light blues make him look ghostly. Story 50. It feels like a peanut butter sandwich. It will hold me for a couple of hours, but it is not impressive. If you want to compliment a man, you will need to dig deeper into your bag of compliments. Story 51. I literally remember everything nice anyone has ever said about me. It is not a lot, but I definitely ride those highs into my 30s. Story 52. I get complimented on my eyelashes all the time. I naturally have long, thick, luxurious eyelashes that women try to emulate with mascara. They always say they love my eyelashes and wish they had them. I find it funny because if they did have them, they would know how annoying they can be. They glue your eyes shut, can twist around and poke you in the eye, constantly get in your eye when they fall out and feel like there is a tree branch in there, and rub against sunglasses, requiring you to keep them further away from your face, allowing light around the lenses. But I am still happy to receive the compliment. Story 53. I love it. I want to feel appreciated through compliments. Compliments on things I chose, like hair or clothes, are nice but do not matter as much. Of course, my shirt is cool because I picked it that way. I do not need that validation. Compliments on interests or hobbies are a middle ground. What I do like hearing is that my eyes are pretty, my hands are attractive, or that my voice is appealing, things I cannot control. I want to know that the things I cannot change are attractive to the opposite sex, because everything I can work on, I already have. Story 54. I still remember the waitress at Red Robin complimenting me on my chacos. That was about 15 years ago. Objectify me, and I will take it as a compliment as long as it does not get creepy. Story 55. Super weird. I am not getting enough compliments, but when I do, it is always about my eyes. I do not know why people of Chinese-Filipino descent are considered attractive here in the Philippines, and it scares me because among those giving compliments, 7 out of 10 are gay and 3 out of 10 are women. Story 56. A girl once said I had the prettiest blue eyes she had seen on a boy. That was 1988. I still think about that day. I have not received a compliment like that since. Story 57. I have a rare eye color, a mix of gray, blue, and green, and I receive compliments about it frequently from girls and gay men. I enjoy the compliments as they make me feel better about myself. Story 58. Feeling objectified due to a compliment is something that people who receive many compliments experience. I take whatever scraps I can. Story 59. I would feel good about my attractive eyes. I do not receive enough compliments to begin deciding which type I prefer. Story 60. Depends. The feeling of her staring at you with her sparkling eyes, telling you how beautiful you and your eyes are, cannot be beaten. Her complimenting your height, though, does not feel as good as the feeling above. Getting complimented on your physique, which is something you can control, feels better than height compliments but does not beat the deep, loving eyes compliment. Hair compliments feel good, especially when she starts playing with your hair and scratching your head and neck. Story 61. It's rare, but I enjoy those kinds of compliments. I have brown hair and eyes and am of average height and weight. I don't see much about me that stands out in a positive way, to be honest. So when someone says my eyes are pretty or they like my nose, it is a nice boost to my day. It is very rare, though. I am gay, so I generally don't assume women are flirting with me, even though it happens from time to time. Story 62. A compliment is a compliment. The only case I could see feeling objectified would be if that trait was the only thing giving me worth in their eyes. For example, if someone said, "I only like you because you are tall," that might give me pause. But just complimenting me on a feature would be taken as what it is, a compliment. A compliment on something I can control would help encourage me to get or do more of that thing, such as keeping the haircut or getting similar shoes, or at least the same style next time I shop. Story 63. Telling someone you like their eyes is not objectification. I struggle to accept any compliments, but I do like it when it is something I cannot control because I can just say thank you and smile. With any other compliment, I am never sure how to respond. Story 64. I know this is not a healthy mindset to have, but at least if someone was objectifying me, then they value me in that way, which is an improvement from anything I have had in a long time from anyone who is not my direct family. Story 65. We are not so rich in compliments that we can afford to be picky about them. All compliments are great. Story 66. It feels absolutely fantastic. It rarely happens to me, so it is nice to have any part of my body actually appreciated for once in my life. Story 67. Sometimes they will say you are tall, which is not really a compliment, just an observation. However, it is the closest thing I usually get to a compliment, so I will take it. Story 68. I don't think most men would care either way. Looking good because you work out or because you dress well is such an ego boost. Someone compliments your eyes or your lips or something? Absolutely. I think it is mostly in how it is said, rather than what is being complimented. The privilege of being men is that even when women compliment you in a sexual way, there is almost never a sense of danger attached to that. There are times when it can become creepy, though. For example, if a woman you are not interested in keeps doing it all the time and does not really pay attention to anything you say. However, it does not feel dangerous in the way that many women might feel. Story 69. We do not get complimented very often. Anything positive said about us is truly special, and we will remember it. Story 70. As a woman reading these comments, I feel a strong urge to give genuine compliments to my boyfriend now that I am learning this from you. It is unfortunate that men do not receive this as often as women do. So being able to change that for one person feels like an honor with someone I love dearly. Story 71. Why would it be objectifying? A compliment about eye color does not reduce me to anything. I would be glad. I would be happy that something about me that I did not choose is seen as nice or cool. I would be uncomfortable if they complimented something about me that I do not like. But that is not the same as objectifying. Story 72. It feels like someone is noticing you, validating that you are there and that, for that moment, something about you is attractive. Story 73. In my lifetime, 18 years, I have been complimented on my appearance twice by someone other than my mom. One said I have pretty eyes. The other said I have beautiful eyelashes. It was cool, I guess, but like most men, mostly I have no idea what to do with myself in this scenario. Story 74. Feels nice. But in my opinion, it feels better when you get compliments on things you are actively trying to improve. It lets you know your work is paying off. Story 75. I do not get many compliments from women, so I take every one I receive to heart. I still remember after my parents split up in fourth grade, a girl gave me a hug and said she was sorry. That is still one of my best memories. Story 76. The type of compliment does not really make a difference. I do not get them as often as I used to, but some women tell me how they love my skin while sitting at a restaurant bar a few months ago. She was cute, but the bartender I was planning on talking to was very attractive. The latter told me she thought the other woman was hitting on me. Story 77. I love it. My saving grace might be my light green eyes on my tan skin. I have never been built. Always the athletic, slim soccer player build easily sets me apart. I can also hold a conversation. Story 78. This happens all the time. It is nice to receive a compliment as a man rather than being ignored or stared at harshly for existing. Story 79. I enjoy it. It has become more inappropriate to ask about people's ethnic backgrounds, but I am an interesting mix, and people used to ask me all the time and comment on my eyes and overall looks in relation to that. I miss it. I think things have gotten out of hand in terms of people feeling objectified, stereotyped, or exoticized. There is a big difference between finding physical traits attractive and objectifying or sexualizing someone. Story 80. I have light blue eyes and it happens all the time. It is no big deal. I understand it is a color you do not see every day, and people are being polite. It does not mean anything to me because it is not like I chose them. Story 81. Seeing how rarely men get complimented is so sad. I tell my amazing man almost daily something I love about him. His looks, personality, humor, something. This makes me very sad to read. Story 82. If I could attempt to answer the question behind it, getting a compliment on fashion or something like that is whatever to me. Relatively speaking, all compliments are great because anyone could buy these clothes. I would rather be complimented on a physical feature I have no control over than on my music taste. But I have been complimented on one of those things considerably more than the other, so that is probably why these two biases exist. Story 83. I simply appreciate it, then think back on it when I am having a bad time days, weeks, or years later because I keep it on the top shelf of my memory banks for preservation. They do not come often enough to be taken for granted. Story 84. In this entirely fictional, hypothetical fantasy world where men receive compliments, yes, I would prefer compliments to be about something I can control rather than not. Story 85. My son, who is an adult, is what you would call a compliment seeker. If a girl compliments him on anything, he is overjoyed and will try to receive more. He is very much aware of being a compliment seeker, and it brings him great joy when he gets any kind of compliment. Whether it is about his looks, personality, or style, he appreciates it greatly. Story 86. During high school, a girl from my tutoring class complimented the shape of my fingers. I just got quiet and blushed. Story 87. It feels nice. Do you feel objectified? No. This is something only certain females worry about. Would you prefer a compliment on something you can control, like your shoes or your hairstyle? It does not matter, not that we receive enough compliments to be selective anyway. You would have to be swimming in compliments already to even consider that. Story 88. Sometimes good, sometimes awkward. I have been told my hair smells like a field of spring flowers, something I will never forget. So I make sure it is always silky and clean. On the other hand, I have also been told I look cute like a child and that I should smile more because my dimples are quite prominent both by male and female colleagues. I am not sure how to feel about that, considering I am in my 30s. Story 89. No, a compliment is a compliment. Indirectly, they are complimenting my parents, and my parents are great people, so it's a win-win. Story 90. I would be stunned to receive a compliment, and I would remember it for the rest of my life. It would make my year. Story 91. I think I would personally feel good if a woman complimented one of my physical features. It means she finds me attractive and is showing interest. If she were not interested, she would not even start a conversation. So why would I feel bad about it? Story 92. Do you feel objectified? Normally no. But I do have a story I tell too often because of how uncomfortable it made me. About 5 or 6 years ago, A random person joined a friend's live stream and called my voice orgasmic. I wish they had used any other adjective. I do not want that visual in the middle of playing my relaxation games. Personally, I would rather receive compliments on my actions than on my appearance. I have never cared much about how I look, apart from not looking unkempt. Story 93. I have been complimented on my kind eyes and the safe, comfortable vibe I give to people. It makes me feel incredible, and I still fondly remember the girl who gave me this compliment. I often get approached by scared children and elderly people, but never by a woman my age. Story 94. Objectified from a compliment? You know you are asking men, right? The majority of us do not get those often. To answer your question, it feels like I received a compliment. I take it as the person giving the compliment wants to make me feel happy in that moment. I do not tend to go any deeper than that unless the context calls for it. Story 95. I get compliments about my blue eyes every once in a while. I feel flattered but also occasionally think about the double standards. Most women would call me superficial for complimenting their breasts or buttocks, but those can at least be shaped to some extent through lifestyle and exercise. I cannot change my eye color or height, but those are apparently considered very romantic to comment on. In the end, I am somewhat flattered, but I would be happier if it was about something I can influence. Story 96. Any compliment, no matter what it is about, will be seen as nice by nearly every man as long as it is genuine. Personally, if I had to choose, I would prefer to hear compliments about physical features rather than something like clothes, to be honest. Story 97. I receive compliments frequently, all about how good I am at my work, how gentle I am, or how I am able to make people feel calm and secure. Never about a physical feature. Story 98. Grateful. It is part of me. I recently received a compliment on my eyebrows. I personally dislike them, but the compliment made me dislike them less. Story 99. It depends on the woman. If I am interested in her or find her attractive, it does not bother me. Otherwise, I find it uncomfortable. Story 100. It's a conversation starter, nothing special about it. I get it with my height. Wow, you are tall. Did you play basketball? Mostly because it happens all the time. Trying to turn it into a laugh usually gets the best reaction from people. Story 101. Does it matter? Who cares if I can control it or not, unless it is an actual action I did, like a job? If anything is a compliment on something out of my control, such as eye color, it is great because I do not plan on changing it anytime soon. What kind of question is this? Story 102. They are making a dumb observation, like cool, and the grass is green. Some people are leery as well, and that makes me want to leave. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.